Let's look at the SAP Production Planning, or the PP module. This module is used to help plan the manufacturing for sales and distribution of products. SAP PP has the ability to handle businesses that have both repetitive manufacturing models, where they manufacture products, stay the same over a long period of time, and discrete production models. Basically order-based production where the product can change often. 4 of the major aspects of the SAP production planning are the billing of materials, routings, capacity planning, and materials requirement planning. Let's look first at the bill of materials. The bill of materials is often called the BOM in SAP. It's a complete inventory of the raw materials, assemblies, and other components needed to manufacture a product. Essentially, a bill of materials is the ingredients list part of a recipe. Let's take a look at a BOM in the system. This is a screenshot of a bill of material for one material coded fast moving. We see that there are 3 line items, meaning there are 3 components. Each of these components has a different quantity needed to make up the BOM. Routings are up next. They're a description of which operations and in which sequence they need to happen for something to be produced. Routings are used for scheduling the production of semi-finished and finished products. They're also used to calculate the operation cost for a finished product. If a bill of materials is the ingredients list of a recipe, the routings are the step-by-step instructions of the same recipe, in this case to make a product. Let's look at routing in SAP. We'll look at the same product as in the bill of materials, coded as FIN50, fast moving. This is a simple routing where there's only one operation called assembly. This routing tells a lot of information. We have a base quantity, and it's going to take some minutes to set up the machine and some minutes of labour to complete the assembly operation. Next up is capacity planning, which is done to balance the production loads across different work areas, which are call work centres in SAP. This screenshot displays the capacity evaluation of the assembly work centre at plant over a specified date range. If we look at the row highlighted in yellow, in the last column we can see that our remaining available capacity is a couple of minutes. This is telling us that this work centre needs way more work to be done, so this work centre is fully utilised. Finally, materials requirement planning, MRP, is used to guarantee material availability for production. The key feature of MRP is that when it is run, it will create procurement proposals. It ensures production can happen, and it minimises the cost of holding too much unnecessary stock. So let's look at MRP in the system. This is a screenshot of a planning result for our material, FIN50 fast moving. It shows us that we have enough available quantity of this material in the storage location.
In this slide, we're going to learn general business processes about planning. Planning is generally divided into several steps, and these steps may be executed independently of each other, or they may collaborate. Let's assume that Orange is a net new company, and it's the first time to make a production plan and manufacture the product's mobile phone, PC and tablet. First, sales and operations planning, or SOP. SOP generates sales plans and production plans using forecast values and requirements from the sales information system and costing and profitability analysis. Sales information system, or SIS, you can display sales information in either graphic or tabular form. In costing and profitability analysis, or COPA, sales volume aims are set and budgets defined to achieve them. The requirements are reflected in the system as planned quantities of a product over a given period of time. The requirements are forecast on the basis of historical values, but are not necessarily created on the basis of a customer requirement. We usually take current stock into consideration. So Orange Company is a net new company, the stock is 0, and we have no need to refer to sales information system or do a costing or profitability analysis. The quantities of forecast are planned as product group, and the period of forecast is always 1 year. In this case, from now on till the end of the next 12 months, salespersons and production planners work together to forecast. Okay, in the US market, we'll produce 1,200 pieces of mobile phones, 2,400 PCs and 3,600 tablets. In the Canadian market, there'll be 4,800 mobile phones, 6,000 PCs and 7,200 tablets. Mobile phone, PC and tablet are different categories of Orange Company products. In the SAP system, we call them different product groups. Actually, we can assign different production quantities to each month. And in here, we simply allocate the forecast evenly to each month. So, in the US market, we'll produce 100 mobile phones, 200 PCs, and 300 tablets each month. On the other hand, in the Canadian market, there'll be 400 mobile phones, 500 PCs, and 600 tablets each month. Alright, second, demand management. Now at the demand management stage, sales departments can get sales orders from customers. This functionality is connected with production scheduling. Requirement quantities and dates for finished products and assemblies based on the plans from SOP are determined. If a salesperson gets a sales order for 50 mobile phones in the first month in the US market, we'll input the demand into the SAP system. This demand is derived from the customer side. In the SAP system, we also call this demand as independent requirement planning. So in the US market, we need to produce 150 mobile phones totally in the first month. Thirdly, master production scheduling aims at key parts and finished production. They have a considerable influence on company profits, or that take up critical resources are carefully planned with extra attention. It always anchors the production planning of 1 month and makes it stable and smooth. MPS is an optional step in the planning process. In this case, display is the key part and takes up critical resources when producing finished products, mobile phones, PCs and tablets. If we have 1 display, we'll be able to produce 1 finished product. Now if we have 100 displays, we'll be able to produce 100 finished products. As we know, 1 device needs 1 camera. If we have 200 cameras and only 100 displays, we can only produce 100 devices. More cameras are completely useless, and display production is restricted to finished products. So, Orange Company Production Planner will run MPS for display. Now the next key concept in production and planning is material requirements planning, and the main task of MRP is to ensure material availability. That is, to procure the required materials in the correct quantities at the right time. It calculates the requirements of lower level materials, such as semi-finished products and raw materials. So, Orange Company Production Planner will run MRP for camera, screw and so on every day. And the output of MRP is either a planned order or a purchase requisition. Next, the materials requirements planning is manufacturing execution. It's so-called shop floor control, and we'll talk about it in the next section. Alright, in this session we're going to learn general business processes about production. So next step to the production planning is manufacturing execution. It is so-called shop floor control. This describes how we process a production order, and there are 9 steps in total for shop floor control. Settlement is part of cost controlling activity, and listing it on the slide just gives us a complete production process. In the process chain, production order is a central data object because it contains all the data relevant to production, such as material master data, BOM, routing and cost data. During implementation, the organizational structures are defined first. After that, the master data is defined. Master data is a term for main reference files of information, such as the material master file or the routing file. Master data records remain in the database for an extended period of time, and master data is shared across application modules in the SAP ERP system. Of course, master data that's obsolete can be archived. The material master contains all the information on all the material that a company procures, produces, stores and sells. The material master data is used by various business areas, for example purchasing, inventory management, production planning, production order execution and control. During integration, the data is stored without redundancies. Materials with similar basic attributes are grouped together by material type, and this means you can manage your materials according to their business requirements, such as raw material, semi-finished material, finished product and so on. You must assign the material type when you create a new material. You can create additional company-specific material types in customizing. Each user department has its own view of material master record. For example, data that relates to the accounting department is stored on the accounting view, and data that relates to materials planning is stored in the MRP view. The bill of materials is a complete, formally structured list of the components that make up a product or assembly. The list contains the item number of each component, together with the quantity and unit of measure. Bills of material, or BOMs, contain essential master data for integrated materials management, production control, and product costing. A work centre is where an operation or activity is carried out within a plant. A work centre can represent anything as general as a geographic location or as specific as a particular machine within a department in a plant. Work centres are used in routings. They can also be used as a capacity collector for statistical evaluations. Maybe the concept is abstract. Let me give you concrete work centre examples. So, an automatic lathe can be defined as an individual work centre. A production line can be defined as a work centre. An individual person, such as production worker John Bush, can be defined as a work centre. And the above examples are also some of the work centre categories. A routing contains the operations to be performed, and their sequence, and the various work centres involved to manufacture an item. A routing can include the standard values or times for activities, such as setup and processing, work centres where the operations are performed, the material components assigned to the operations, any production resources or tools necessary to perform the operation, and instructions of what to do at each operation. Cost data is defined in the controlling area. We can assign a given value to a production activity. For example, machine setup is $20 per hour. Then the system computes the planned machine setup cost using typical formulas and efficiency rates. After manufacturing, we can compare actual cost to planned cost. Okay, now you've got to know production order pretty well. Let's look at the production process. The output of production planning is either a planned order or a purchase requisition. Production orders are usually created from planned orders, and we can also create production order manually in the ERP system by Production Planner. This step is order creation. You must release a production order before you can process it. Releasing a production order means that Production Planner sends the production order to the production line. Workers will fulfill the production order in the workshop, and before you release a production order, you have to make sure that sufficient manufacturing capacity is available and set up the system to check the ability of components and production resources or tools. Of course, you can even specify availability checks to be carried out, available to promise calculations per production order. You can also specify whether an order can be released, even though it may have missing parts or production resources. Availability check for production order is configurable. Once the production planner has set the order status to released, the worker can print the production order and bring it to the warehouse as material requisition. Then the warehouse keeper will issue materials from stock. After getting necessary materials, production workers execute the production order on the production line. When the order is finished, the production workers will send the production to the statistician, and the production statistician confirms the production order operations to collect important data. Now, this is data such as quantities produced, scrap, production times, and completion dates. Completion confirmations clear capacity loads and collect data for production cost controlling. Confirmed labour can be transferred to SAP ERP Human Capital Management. Goods receipt to stock can be automatically posted when production statisticians confirm the order. Or alternatively, production statisticians can report them in a separate transaction. They can process goods receipts from production directly to available stock or to quality inspection stock. Goods receipt processing generates a credit posting to the production order that corresponds to the value of the product quantity based on its standard price. SAP ERP debits the value in the general ledger, or GL, to the stock account for finished products and credits it to a specific revenue account which represents the value of goods produced. You assign the GL accounts when you set up the system. The final step is settlement. Order settlement for a production order means clearing the differences between the actual costs incurred and the credits the order received from goods receipts. Order settlement demonstrates the close integration between production and management accounting in SAP ERP. Normally, a production order is settled when it's completed or before the month-end closing. During settlement, you can post cost variances to one or more cost objects. For example, you can post variances due to excessive scrap to a scrap cost collector and variances due to poor performance to a productivity problem cost collector. Alternatively, you could simply post the entire variance to inventory. The system posts an entry to the GL price variance account when you work out with standard costing. Okay, that's it for production processes and how it works.
In this demo, we're going to learn how to execute a discrete production. So we need to produce a finished product, TF103, in plant 1010 by using production orders and convert a planned order you created in the MRP live planning run for TF103, plant 1010, into a production order using the Monitor Material Coverage Net Segments app. So start the Monitor Material Coverage Net Segments app in Group Plan to Produce Processing from the SAP Fiori Launchpad. And choose Go. In the material list, select the checkbox for material TF103. Choose Manage Materials in the bottom part of the screen and choose the first planned order. Choose Actions Convert. Choose Convert to Production Order and then choose OK. On the stock requirements list, you can see the created MRP element PRD ORD, which means production order, PROD. Write down the number of your production order, which you'll use later, and then choose Home to go back to the SAP Fiori Launchpad. Alright, so the next stage is to release production order using the Change Production Order app. So start the Change Production Order app Group Plan to Produce Processing from the SAP Fiori Launchpad. Enter the number of your production order. Choose Display Overview and press Enter. Now choose the release order on the top left of the screen and choose the Save button on the bottom right of the screen. Okay, the production order has been released. Close the production order Change Initial Screen Browser tab.
Production orders are usually created from planned orders. The shop floor control describes how we process a production order. So you've been asked to place a production order for 10 pumps. In the real production environment, you also need to display the stock requirements list to confirm production order creation. So here let's learn how to create a production order. From the SAP Easy Access menu, choose Logistics, Production, Shop Floor Control, Order, and Create. Choose Material and enter material RF100. Now enter plant 1000 and the order type PP01, the standard production order, will default, so a user entry isn't required here. Okay, choose Enter. On the General tab in the Quantities area, enter 10 in the Total Quant field. On the General tab in the Dates area, enter Expected Order Finish Date in the Finish field. We've entered August the 14th, 2015. From the application toolbar, choose Release Order. This means the order will be released to the production line after creation. You must release a production order before you can process it. Once you have set the order status to released, you can print shop floor papers, issue materials from stock, and confirm operations. After we see the release carried out in status bar, choose Save. Okay, from the status bar message, we know the production has been created. So we can choose Exit to get back to the SAP Easy Access menu. Now we need to access the stock requirements list to display that production order. So from this menu, we choose Logistics again, Production, Shop Floor Control, Information System. Choose Stock Requirements List. And enter Material RF100. Enter Plant 1000 again. The information will default, so a user entry isn't needed. Choose Continue. Choose Details of Element. The system pop-ups the additional data for MRP element dialog box. Choose Display Element in the production order to display. And the system then jumps into production order that we've just created. So we can choose Exit to leave the production order create header screen and the stock requirements list. And we go back again to the Easy Access menu.